Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. So today I'm going to introduce you to what is one of my favorite micro brands now. I had no idea these guys existed up until they reached out to me. And when I saw their catalog, their website, just from the aesthetics, what I saw, the designs in particular they have in the catalog, I was very impressed. However, the pictures aren't enough. You need to see the watch in hand. So this has been in my hand now for 2 weeks. I've worn it on wrist constantly. And there is one main thing which stands out with Engelman watches, and it's not their Zin designs or their Zin homages or clomages. It's the specification you get and the build quality versus the price that they sell these watches for. And pound for pound, it's one of the best value tool watches that you can actually buy. So let's take a focus on the specifications and also take note of what's being offered here. You've got an air-coated sapphire crystal. You've got a ceramic brushed bezel insert with 120 click unidirectional bezel. You do have 200 meters of water resistance with a screw down crown and a screw down case back. The watch is also anti-magnetic up to 1000 Gauss. It has a hardness coating up to 1000 HV. You also got drill lugs, female end links on the bracelet. It's a H-link bracelet which also has quick release bars. You've got screw-in links and an on-the-fly adjustable clasp. So that is a lot. They've almost tried to tick every box in terms of specifications and particularly what's out there. And it's like these guys have been watching reviews for the past few months or the past few years, depending on how long it took them to come up with a catalog. And they have nailed everything. It's actually exciting to see a brand that's put so much into a watch, and especially getting it right on the first instance. The movement, this particular one, the WRAITH UTC, uses the Seiko NH34 automatic caller GMT movement. They also use movements like the Seiko NH36 for some of their models, and also the HK PT5000, which is an ETA 2824 clone. Now, all of the above mentioned is priced at $290 or around £220 with the bracelet. It is a little cheaper if you went with the Velcro strap, but I would obviously opt for the bracelet option. Now, I would say objectively that is a great price considering the specifications. Now, of course, specs are not everything if the watch isn't built well. Now, I've had this watch, as I stated, for about 2 weeks, and I can tell you the build quality is excellent. The watch has been really well thought out, and yeah, everything just really fits the aesthetic that you see in front of you. The bezel is very firm, tactile, it's 120 click, and it just seems super precise. There is no side-to-side play, there's no loose movement in the bezel at all. And even though the bezel isn't to my actual liking or to my preference, I do prefer a smoother gliding click. I can tell you that it is well built because of how it feels. And it is comparable to, for example, let's say the Zelos Swordfish. Now, the bezel insert isn't your usual glossy ceramic insert. Some people do complain about that, but this one has been vertically brushed in a sort of concentric fashion, and it gives you that steel-like look. And it's quite subtle. It's got that minimal sheen to it. And as I said, due to that brushing, it doesn't come across as ceramic, but it gives you the hard wearing properties. And I've always been one to appreciate these subtle micro details and the finishing. The bezel construction is also very clean. These wide scallops are perfectly machined. There's no sharp edges and you get plenty of grip. The crown is about 6.5 millimeters in diameter. It does feature deep set splines, but it does provide great grip. Not that you need much grip because the threading is noticeably quite smooth, but I'd say, it does fit that tool watch aesthetic. Now, the case finishing comes across as very smooth in hand, and you still get quite a lot of definition around the case shape and those lugs. And this being bead blasted, it's a very soft type of bead blasting. You don't get that rough texture that you get, let's say, for example, on titanium. So it is very smooth to touch. So it does feel quite slick in hand. And I've also noticed one thing, the hardness coating actually works. As I said, guys, I've been wearing this watch for 2 weeks straight, wearing it around, my daily life, doing what I need to do. And usually you do pick up a lot of micro scratches. You might get the odd dink or a deeper scratch, but you can just see across the bracelet, for example, there's no visibility of any micro scratches. The sides of the watch are still immaculate. And what is an even better indicator is just take a look at the clasp. Now, many clasps, after the first day of wearing them, especially those softly brushed clasps, They do pick up micro scratching around here. It just happens, but you can just see how good the hardness coating really is. Now the functionality on the clasp is also good. It's on the fly adjustable. The ratcheting is pretty smooth, very easy to operate. There's no issues there. But I do have a slight qualm with the pushers on my particular clasp. They're just a little stiff. I don't know if they need a bit of wearing in or if the coating has done something. But on my one, I just felt one side is just slightly stiffer than the other. So it does take a bit of fidgeting. However, it's not a big issue at all. The female end links on the bracelet also add to that functional aspect. It's going to fit so much better on wrist with that articulation. And they have paid attention to precision here. Look how well the end links fit into the lugs. You've got minimal and even gapping, and they also sit pretty flush between those lugs. Now finally, onto the dial. Can you get a more functional utilitarian watch than this? It features a pilot field watch dial. It's got a GMT function, 200 meters of water resistance, and a diving bezel. If anything, this is what a true Garda should be. Surely the ultimate go anywhere, do anything. And finally, we can address that Zin inspiration here. Now, I can accept pretty much any homage. This 857 UTC homage is exceptionally executed and it does the design justice. Honestly, you don't need to pay the $2,000 asking price from Zin. The magnetic resistance is the same steel case with bead blasting and hardness coating too. It's got the same jet black dial aesthetics with that stark white printing. You also got the black date wheel and that lime green accented text and GMT hand. And what's more, you get a fair bit of transparency from Engelman. The lume thickness is presented on their website, and anytime brands share this type of information with you, it's usually because they know how good it is. Now you also get something on this which isn't on the Zin. It's a fully lumed bezel, and you have options of either green or blue lume, and they're using a custom developed hyperglow lume pigment, which I have to say is very bright. You get lots of day glow if you've just been outside with it for a couple of seconds. And the only thing lacking, I'd say, is perhaps the GMT markings and the GMT hand being lumed. I mean, they could have even made a fully lumed dial to make that visible. So there's so many different possibilities. But right now, if you see the catalog, they are restricted with the designs they're using for inspiration. Now, personally, I love that they are doing this, and I can't wait to check out more of the range. And these are watches that I would actually wear. I've liked Zin watches, but there's not enough about them to make me pay those high prices. Now with the Engelman, I believe they're going to hit the exact demographic that I fit into with these designs they've got. Now the WRAITH UTC, it has such a utilitarian watch presence on wrist. It's also got a great fit, and there's that smooth finishing all over. And it is definitely a solid watch all around, evidenced with the specifications and the great price. Now, unfortunately, many of the watches are now sold out, except the one I've reviewed, and others with the same case but some different dials. But they do state that they have more expected in the next few months. So I'd say that's it from me today. Let me know your thoughts on Engelman watches and your experience with Engelman, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.